You wronged a crow once, you just don't remember it. Maybe you shooed one off your car. Maybe you chased one from your garden. Maybe you did nothing at all, and it simply decided you looked like trouble. You forgot the moment the second it happened, but the crow didn't. And that is where the story gets strange. Because somewhere out there, a bird may still be holding a grudge against your face. Not your coat, not your car, your face. And it told its friends. And its friends told their children. And none of them have ever met you. You think of memory as a private thing, a quiet drawer inside your own head. But the real answer is far stranger. Memory was never built to store facts. It was built to store threats. And once you understand what a crow's brain is actually doing, you will understand why you can forgive almost anything except the person who wronged you. Let's start with the experiment. In 2006, a wildlife biologist named John Marsluff at the University of Washington wanted to know something simple. Could a crow recognize a human face? Not a shape, not a color, a specific individual face. So he designed a test that sounds almost cruel in its cleverness. He and his students put on rubber masks. One mask was the dangerous face. Wearing it, they would trap wild crows, hold them briefly, band their legs, and release them. Unpleasant but harmless. A second mask was the neutral face. It just walked around doing nothing at all. The crows were never bothered by it. Then they waited, and they watched what the birds would do. The results were immediate. Whenever the dangerous mask appeared on campus, the crows went berserk. They scolded. They dive-bombed. They screamed a harsh, rattling alarm call that echoes across a whole neighborhood. The neutral mask? The crows ignored it completely. Same body, same clothes, same walk. The only difference was the face. The birds had learned a human enemy, but that's not the strange part. Here is the strange part. Marsluff kept wearing that mask for years, and the crows kept hating it. Nearly a decade later, the same mask still triggered the same fury on campus. Crows in the wild rarely live that long, which means something impossible was happening. The crows that were mobbing the mask had never been trapped. Many of them hadn't even been born when the experiment started. They had never had a single bad experience with that face, and yet they knew, with total certainty, that it was the enemy. So how did they know? They were told. The original crows had passed the threat down. Parents taught their chicks. Neighbors taught neighbors. The alarm calls, the mobbing, the fury directed at one specific face, all of it was being culturally transmitted through a population of wild birds. A grudge spreading through a society like a story around a fire. The face of a man most of them had never seen, marked forever as danger. Marsluff later put crows in brain scanners and gave them a glimpse of the threatening face. The regions that lit up were the ones tied to fear, to threat, to emotional memory. The bird wasn't calmly recalling a fact. It was feeling something, the same way you feel it when you see the person who betrayed you across a room. Now sit with that for a second, because your brain does the exact same thing. You have met thousands of people. You've forgotten almost all of them. The barista from 3 years ago, the dozens of pleasant, forgettable strangers you passed today. Your mind lets them dissolve without a fight. But the one person who humiliated you in the 7th grade, you could describe their face right now. You could hear their voice. Your heart rate might even tick up a little sitting here, just reading this. Why does the wound get saved when the kindness gets deleted? Because your memory is not a diary. It's an alarm system. There is a small, almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain. It's called the amygdala. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping what it does, and what he found reshaped how we understand fear. The amygdala is a threat detector. When something frightening or painful happens, it doesn't just record the event. It stamps it. It floods the moment with stress chemicals that tell the rest of your brain a single, urgent command. Remember this. This one matters. This one could kill you. That's why traumatic memories feel sharper than happy ones. That's why you can forget 100 good days and never forget the one betrayal. Your brain is not being cruel. It's doing its job. For most of human history, the creature or the person who hurt you once was very likely to try again. Forgetting them was a good way to die. So evolution built you a grudge, and it built the crow the same one. This is the part people miss. We tend to think of grudges as a personal flaw, a sign that you're bitter, or that you can't let go, or that you're just not a big enough person. But a grudge is not a bug in the system. A grudge is the system, working exactly as designed. Think about what a grudge actually is. It's a threat memory with a name attached. It's your brain saying, this specific individual is dangerous. Do not trust them again. Stay ready. The crow mobbing the mask isn't being petty. It's protecting its family. It's warning its whole community. In the world your instincts were built for, that behavior kept you alive. There's a scientist named Kaylee Swift who also worked at the University of Washington, and she studied something even eerier: crow funerals. When a crow dies, other crows gather around the body. They don't eat it. They don't ignore it. They stand near it, calling, watching, for long minutes. Swift ran the experiments and found what they were really doing. They were learning. They were studying the scene of the death, looking for whatever killed their own, so they could remember it and avoid it. A funeral, but really a threat assessment briefing. Grief and memory, fused into one act. You do this too. You just don't call it a funeral. You call it replaying the argument at 2 a.m. You call it not being able to look at the restaurant where you got the phone call. You call it the way a certain song or a certain smell or a certain tone of voice can drop you straight back into the worst day of your life. Your brain is standing over the body of an old wound, studying it, memorizing the face of what hurt you, making sure it never happens again. But here's the twist. Here's where the ancient wiring turns against you. The crow's grudge is almost always useful. Its world is honest. A predator is a predator. A threat is a threat. The face that trapped it really was dangerous, and staying afraid of that face costs the crow almost nothing. Your world is different. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a lion and a coworker, between a genuine threat to your survival and a text message that made you feel small. It fires the same ancient alarm either way. It stamps the memory. It says, remember this face, this one could kill you. And so you carry a grudge against someone who was never actually dangerous. You lie awake defending yourself in a war that ended years ago against an enemy who has completely forgotten you exist. The crow's grudge protects its life. Your grudge, more often than not, just quietly poisons yours. And it goes further because you inherited the crow's other trick too, the one where the grudge spreads. You tell your friends about the person who wronged you. Your family learns the name of the one who hurt you. A rivalry gets passed down through a family for generations, and the grandchildren hate each other over a wound none of them were alive to feel. We are, all of us, mobbing masks, screaming at faces we were told to fear, long after the original crime has faded into nothing. So what do you do with a brain that was built to remember its enemies forever? You start by understanding that the grudge is not a moral failing. It's a survival instinct running in the wrong century. The person who cut you off in traffic, the one who left the cruel comment, the ex who wronged you, your brain is filing all of them in the same drawer it once used for predators. It is trying, desperately, to keep you safe from a world that no longer works that way. Forgiveness, then, is not weakness. Forgiveness is the single most unnatural thing you can do. It is you, overriding 200 million years of hardware. It is you, standing in front of the mask that once trapped you and choosing, against every instinct screaming in your skull, to stop mobbing it. No crow can do that. Only you can. That is the strange gift buried inside your oldest wiring. You are the one animal that can look at its own grudge, recognize it as a ghost, and decide to let the enemy go. So think back to that crow, the one you wronged and forgot. It's still out there, maybe, holding on to a face it will never forgive, teaching its children to fear a man who meant it no harm. It cannot help itself. Its brain will not let it. And somewhere in your own head, there is a face you are guarding just as fiercely, for reasons just as old. You wronged a crow once, and a crow, somewhere, is still wronging you back. The only question left is how many of your own grudges you're finally ready to release.